I once asked a man what freedom meant to him, and he said, "When I can buy whatever I want." I smiled and said, "That's not freedom. That's dependency with fancy packaging." See, freedom isn't about buying more. It's about needing less, worrying less, and having money flow whether you lift a finger or not. That's real freedom, the kind that lets you sleep peacefully at night knowing your money is working harder than you are. Today, I'm going to show you how to build that kind of life, where assets build your wealth, but cash flow builds your peace. Most people believe that the more money they make, the richer they'll be. But let me tell you, I've met people earning 6 figures who are broke, and others making half that who are free. The difference isn't income, it's structure. The poor work for money. The middle class work for comfort. But the rich, they make money work for them. And once you understand this shift, that cash flow, not cash, is the measure of wealth, your entire financial destiny begins to change. Most people believe that the secret to wealth lies in earning more. They think that if they could just make a little extra, their problems would disappear. But here's what I learned early in life. It's not what you earn that makes you rich. It's what you keep, what you manage, and what you multiply. You see, income is temporary, but structure is permanent. I once worked hard from morning till night, thinking I was doing everything right. I was busy, but I wasn't progressing. My money came in and left faster than it arrived. Then one day my mentor told me, "You don't get rich by working harder, you get rich by working smarter and making your money work harder than you do." That statement changed everything for me. The first step to financial freedom is to understand the game. You must know where your money goes, how it flows, and who controls it. Because if it's not you, then someone else is making a profit from your ignorance. Most people work for money all their lives, but never learn how money works. They focus on income, not on systems. And here's the problem with income. The moment you stop showing up, it stops showing up too. But when you build assets that produce cash flow, you create a system that keeps running even when you rest. Think about it like planting an orchard. At first, you work hard tilling the soil, watering the trees, protecting the roots. But once those trees mature, they bear fruit every season, whether you're there or not. That's how cash flow works. It's your orchard of freedom. So, if you want to change your financial destiny, stop asking, "How can I earn more?" and start asking, "How can I build something that pays me over and over again?" Track where your money goes, make it work for you, and never again depend on a single paycheck to define your worth. Because when you understand that wealth is not measured by what comes in, but by what keeps coming in, that's when you begin to step into real freedom. When I was a young man, I thought success was about owning things, a nice car, good clothes, maybe a bigger house than the neighbor. I believed that if I could just look successful, eventually I would be successful. But I learned the hard way that appearance is not wealth. I remember driving a shiny car that turned heads, but the truth was, the car owned me. Every month it demanded payments, insurance, and maintenance. I was feeding a liability and calling it an asset. That's when I discovered a rule that changed my financial philosophy forever. If it takes money out of your pocket, it's a liability. If it puts money into your pocket, it's an asset. Doesn't matter how impressive it looks or how good it feels, what matters is how it performs. You see, poor thinking buys image, while rich thinking buys income. The poor say, "I deserve this now," while the rich ask, "Will this buy me freedom later?" The difference is not intelligence, it's philosophy. The wealthy don't chase things. They acquire tools that produce results. They buy assets that grow in value. that generate cash flow, that multiply quietly while others sleep. The poor, on the other hand, often work hard for years, only to fill their lives with liabilities that look like progress but drain their future. Here's what I suggest. Take inventory of what you own. Write it all down, your car, your gadgets, your memberships, your investments. Then ask one question about each. Does this make me money or cost me money? You'll be surprised how much of what we call wealth is actually expense in disguise. Once you see it clearly, commit to changing your ratio, more assets, fewer liabilities. Maybe that means buying stocks that pay dividends instead of upgrading your phone. Maybe it's starting a small business that can grow into something significant. Maybe it's learning to build intellectual property, a book, a course, a product, something that continues to earn when you're not present. Every choice should move you closer to independence, not dependency. Remember, the goal is not to impress anyone. The goal is to escape the trap of living for appearances. Build assets first, things that work while you rest, that grow while you sleep, that pay while you think. Because one day, when your assets take care of your lifestyle, you'll discover what real wealth feels like. Peace, not pressure. And that, my friends, is when you truly become rich. There was a time when I thought freedom meant waking up whenever I wanted or not having to answer to anyone. But I quickly learned that if you have to worry about money, you're not free, you're just unemployed. Real freedom begins when money comes in, whether you get out of bed or not. That's the essence of cash flow, the steady stream that continues to flow even when you rest. And that's what separates financial survival from financial independence. Most people spend their whole lives trading time for money. They clock in, work the hours, collect the paycheck, and repeat. But the moment they stop working, the income stops too. That's not freedom, that's a treadmill. You can run faster, work harder, even earn more, but you're still stuck in the same loop. The rich play a different game. They use their effort to build systems that produce income even in their absence. They focus on creating assets that generate cash flow, the kind that keeps coming whether they're working, traveling, or sleeping. Think of cash flow as the river of your life. As long as it flows, you have options, time to think, freedom to choose, and the ability to live life on your terms. Without it, you're constantly forced to trade your energy for survival. The rich understand that cash flow isn't about luck, it's about design. You have to build it intentionally. Start by creating at least one stream of income this year that doesn't depend on your daily labor. It could be as small as selling a product online, earning dividends from stocks, or renting a room in your house. The amount doesn't matter at first. What matters is momentum. Once the flow begins, the current strengthens. Reinvest every profit back into your system. Don't rush to spend it, grow it. Each dollar reinvested becomes another little employee working for your freedom. And then, once a month, audit your income. Ask yourself, how much of what I earned this month came from my effort and how much came from my assets? That percentage tells you how free you are. Your goal is simple. Increase the part that flows without you. Freedom isn't built by chance, it's engineered. When your cash flow replaces your labor, you step off the treadmill and onto the path of true independence. That's the day you stop working for money and your money starts working for you, and that's the day freedom truly begins. When I was a young man, I worked hard. Long hours, little pay, and even less direction. I thought that if I just worked harder, eventually something big would happen. But nothing did. I was trading my time for survival, not for freedom. Then one day, my mentor told me something I'll never forget. Work full-time on your job, but part-time on your fortune. At first, I didn't understand what he meant. I thought my job was my fortune. But he explained that a job provides you a living, while your fortune, that's what you build outside of it, provides your freedom. That idea changed everything for me. You see, your job should never be the end goal. It's the beginning, the training ground, the funding source for your greater vision. Your job pays the bills, but your investments, your ideas, your ownership, those are what pay you for life. Every hour you give to someone else's dream should be planting a seed for your own. The rich understand this. They use their paycheck as a tool, not a trophy. They save a portion, not just for safety, but for growth. Because if you spend everything you earn, you'll always be working for someone who didn't. Start by setting aside a portion of every paycheck, not for spending, but for investing. Don't wait until you have more. Start with what you have now. Every dollar you save becomes a potential soldier for your financial army. Then, use that savings to start something small, a side business, a creative project, an investment in shares, royalties, or partnerships. The goal is ownership. When you own something, you break free from the cycle of trading time for money. You begin to convert effort into equity, something that continues to work long after you've stopped. Early on, I started a small side business selling products part-time. It didn't make much at first, but I stayed consistent. Every dollar earned from that business went back into growth. Over time, that small stream turned into a river, one that eventually replaced my job income. The key was that I didn't just work for wages, I worked for ownership. So here's the lesson. Use your job to buy your freedom. Let your paycheck be the seed for your fortune, not the ceiling of your dream. Because one day, when your equity begins to pay you, you'll realize that true wealth isn't built from effort alone. It's built from ownership. I remember the first time I truly understood the difference between being a borrower and being the banker. I was sitting across from a man who owned several businesses, and while I was busy working to make my next payment, he was earning money from people like me making theirs. It hit me hard. The same system that kept me struggling was making someone else rich. That's when I learned one of the most powerful financial truths. Those who understand interest earn it. Those who don't, pay it. The moment I stopped feeding the system and started owning a piece of it, everything began to change. You see, the game of money isn't unfair. It's simply misunderstood. Most people live their entire lives as financial employees of the bank. They borrow for things that lose value, then spend years working to repay it with interest. That's not wealth, that's servitude. The rich, on the other hand, play the opposite role. They lend, they invest, they compound, their money moves in circles that return home with friends. And the secret is, they didn't start that way. They started by learning how the flow of money works and positioning themselves on the right side of it. If you want to become wealthy, you must learn to master the flow of money. First, eliminate high-interest debt. Don't let your energy feed someone else's fortune. Every time you make an interest payment, remember, that's profit leaving your pocket. Once you've freed yourself from that cycle, take the same amount you were giving to the bank and redirect it into something that earns interest for you. A dividend-paying stock, a savings vehicle, or a small investment that compounds over time. Learn how compounding works, because it's the eighth wonder of the world. The more consistent you are, the more powerful it becomes. When you invest regularly, even small amounts, you start to experience a magic that seems invisible at first, but unstoppable over time. I started with small savings that didn't look like much. But months became years, and those disciplined contributions grew into something that worked for me. Eventually, my money became the employee, and I became the banker. So remember, the goal isn't just to earn money, it's to direct it. Let your cash flow like water. but make sure it flows towards you, not away from you. When you master money flow, you stop working for interest and start collecting it. And that, my friends, is the day you cross from survival into freedom. One of the greatest lessons I ever learned about wealth is that success is not emotional, it's systematic. Most people think the rich have stronger willpower or better luck, but that's not true. The difference is that the wealthy don't leave their future to feelings. They build predictable systems that protect them from their emotions. You see, emotions will tell you to spend, but systems will make sure you save. Emotions will say, I deserve this today, while systems whisper, let's make sure you deserve it tomorrow too. Wealth isn't the result of inspiration. It's the reward of consistency. I remember early in my journey when I used to make decisions based on how I felt. If I had a good week, I spent more. If I was stressed, I bought something to feel better. I was trying to solve emotional problems with financial decisions. That never works. 1 month, I realized my income had doubled, but I still had nothing left over. That's when I understood it wasn't about how much I made, it was about how I managed it. So I stopped depending on willpower and started building systems. I automated my savings and investments, set clear spending limits, and reviewed my finances on a fixed schedule instead of reacting every time I saw a sale or a new gadget. The rich know that wealth grows in structure. Automation beats motivation every time. If you set up automatic transfers, 10 to 20% of your income going straight into investments or savings, you never have to think about it again. It happens quietly. Every payday, building your fortune one deposit at a time. You can also establish spending rules that protect you from impulsive decisions. For example, wait 24 hours before making any non-essential purchase. Give yourself space to think, because time cools emotions and clarity strengthens discipline. And here's the key. Don't obsess over every transaction. Review your systems monthly, not your spending daily. When you focus on your process instead of your impulses, wealth becomes predictable. You stop asking, where did my money go? And start knowing exactly where it's headed. Wealth is built by those who act with structure, not impulse. When you automate good habits, you remove the chance for mistakes. You become the architect of your future, not the victim of your emotions. Build your systems once and let them serve you for years. Because when discipline becomes automatic, wealth becomes inevitable. When I first started learning about wealth, I thought the secret was to find the right investment, the perfect stock, the right business, the hot opportunity. I was searching for the magic vehicle that would take me from where I was to where I wanted to be. But over time, I discovered something far more valuable. It's not the investment that makes you rich, it's the investor. You can give the best opportunity in the world to someone with poor financial understanding, and they'll lose it. But give a modest opportunity to someone who understands money, and they'll multiply it. That's why financial education is worth more than any financial instrument. Most people spend years studying how to earn a living, but almost no time learning how to manage or grow their money. They understand their job, but not their wealth. They can read a paycheck, but not a financial statement. And that's why even high earners often find themselves struggling. Formal education may help you make a living, but financial education, that's what helps you make a fortune. It teaches you how money moves, how markets behave, and how wealth is created and preserved. I remember when I made my first investment. I was excited but unprepared. I didn't know the language of money. I didn't understand risk, return, or the power of compounding. And so I lost. But it was one of the best lessons I ever learned, because I realized that ignorance is expensive, far more expensive than any class or book could ever be. From that moment, I made a commitment. I would never invest in something I didn't understand. Instead of chasing returns, I started chasing knowledge. If you want to change your financial future, begin by dedicating just 30 minutes a day to learning about money, how it's earned, invested, and protected. Read one book a month on wealth or investing. Listen to people who've built what you want to build. Don't just study how the wealthy spend, study how they think. Learn their philosophies, their patience, and their approach to risk. Because when you understand money, it begins to obey you. Knowledge reduces fear and multiplies confidence. You no longer gamble, you calculate. You no longer chase quick wins, you build enduring systems. Wealth begins in the mind before it shows up in the account. And when your mind becomes financially educated, your life starts to follow the same direction. I've noticed a pattern in people who struggle financially. They spend to impress, to keep up, to show the world that they're successful. Their car, their phone, their clothes, all loud announcements of achievement, yet behind the noise, the numbers tell a different story. Real wealth doesn't shout, it whispers. You see, the rich understand that freedom is the true measure of success, not applause or admiration. When you design your life around freedom rather than appearances, your money works for you instead of disappearing trying to impress someone else. Early in my journey, I fell into the trap of lifestyle inflation. I'd get a little more income, and suddenly, I felt entitled to a bigger car, nicer dinners, and gadgets I didn't really need. At the time, it felt like progress. But I realized the more I spent to show, the less I actually owned. I wasn't building assets, I was building liabilities, things that took money out of my pocket every month. That's when I began to make a conscious shift. I asked myself, am I buying this to grow my freedom or just to look good to others? The answer changed everything. Simplifying your lifestyle doesn't mean deprivation, it means prioritizing what truly matters. Identify 3 non-essential expenses you can cut this month: subscriptions, impulse purchases, dining out. Redirect that money into cash flow assets, investments, side projects, or tools that generate more income than they cost. Over time, those dollars multiply and give you options, security, and peace of mind. Reward yourself, but do it in ways that enhance life, not drain your wallet. Experiences, education, time with family, or skill building, these are the true luxuries that compound. Unlike flashy items that lose value the moment you buy them, these investments grow in meaning, capability, and joy. Remember, wealth whispers. It's quiet, patient, and powerful. The freedom you build by living intentionally will speak louder than anything you could ever show off. Design your life around freedom, and the money will follow. One of the most overlooked secrets of wealth is that it grows fastest when shared. You see, money alone can make you comfortable, but influence and knowledge multiply it in ways cash never can. When you teach, mentor, or guide someone else, you are not just giving information, you're planting seeds that return benefits far beyond the initial act. Every person you help becomes a node in a network of opportunity, a potential collaborator, a partner in growth. Wealth is never meant to be hoarded. It is designed to expand when you pass it on. Early in my journey, I discovered this principle without realizing it. I started by sharing what little I knew about budgeting and investing with a friend. At first, it was simple conversation, but soon, that friend became a partner in a small venture. Together, our knowledge, discipline, and combined action created results neither of us could have achieved alone. Teaching amplified my own understanding, reinforced my habits, and opened doors to opportunities I never anticipated. That's the power of duplication. The strategy is simple. Take what you learn and give it away. Mentor one person in money management or wealth building practices. Host small sessions, workshops, or even casual discussions. Each time you articulate principles of discipline, savings, or investment, your own habits solidify. But more importantly, you create influence, trust, and networks. People will gravitate toward your knowledge, and opportunities will follow naturally. Building teams or partnerships compounds this effect. When everyone in your circle applies disciplined wealth habits, the collective success grows exponentially. It's not just your income that increases, it's the flow of ideas, opportunities, and resources. Each success story from someone you've guided becomes a ripple, feeding back into your own life in unexpected ways. Remember, wealth is not just a personal achievement, it's a movement. Teach, duplicate, and multiply, and you'll find your own freedom grows as others rise alongside you. Wealth begins long before the first dollar lands in your account. It starts with the person you become, the mindset you cultivate, and the habits you practice daily. Too often, people chase money as if it were a prize at the end of a race, only to discover that without the right character, the money slips away as quickly as it arrives. True wealth isn't a number on a bank statement, it's a philosophy that shapes your decisions, your priorities, and ultimately, your life. It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts opportunities, resources, and freedom. In my own journey, I learned this the hard way. Early on, I focused purely on income, chasing opportunities without pausing to grow my mind or discipline. I made more money, yes, but it never lasted because I wasn't prepared to steward it. The breakthrough came when I realized that the rich I admired weren't rich merely because of their accounts. They were rich because of the habits, values, and clarity of mind they developed over time. They thought in terms of growth, contribution, and long-term vision. They became people capable of sustaining wealth. That became my philosophy, to focus on growth first, and wealth would follow. The strategy is simple yet profound. Set personal development goals alongside financial ones. Treat reading, learning, and reflection as investments with compound returns. Study not just what wealthy people do, but how they think. Observe the decisions they make, the principles they uphold, and the patience they exercise. Ask yourself monthly, am I growing in wisdom as much as in income? If not, adjust. Wealth is attracted by discipline, knowledge, and character, not by luck or frantic effort. Practical steps reinforce this philosophy. Define measurable growth goals in your mindset, habits, and knowledge. Dedicate time weekly to study wealthy mindsets. Review your personal and financial habits monthly to ensure alignment. When your character grows, your income, assets, and freedom naturally follow. Wealth becomes not a chase, but a reflection of the person you've become. Remember, when wealth is a philosophy, it lasts. It is earned through growth, sustained by discipline, and multiplied by wisdom. Knowledge alone is like a seed in the dirt. It has potential, but unless you plant it and nurture it, it will never grow. I've seen countless people spend years learning, reading, attending seminars, yet their lives remain unchanged. The difference between those who thrive and those who simply accumulate information is action. Knowledge must be converted into leverage if it is to create wealth. It's not enough to know, you must apply, execute, and systematize. This is where ordinary effort becomes extraordinary results. Early in my life, I devoured books, listened to mentors, and studied the habits of the wealthy. Yet, for a time, I felt frustrated. Knowledge alone didn't pay my bills. The shift came when I started taking what I learned and putting it into practice immediately. Every idea I implemented, Every principle I applied multiplied my results. A simple lesson about budgeting became a system that freed me from debt. A principle about value creation became a service I offered others, generating steady income. Knowledge turned into leverage, and leverage became freedom. The strategy is clear. Treat learning as a tool, not a trophy. After acquiring new knowledge, don't let it sit idle. Apply it within 48 hours. Experiment. Build systems that amplify its effect. Convert your skill into a product, service, or mechanism that earns for you. Ask yourself regularly, is this knowledge producing results, or is it simply padding my ego? The rich measure education by its impact, not by the hours spent absorbing it. Practical steps make this actionable. Identify one new skill or piece of knowledge each week. Immediately find a way to apply it, whether by creating a side project, streamlining a process, or offering a service. Document the outcomes. If it produces income or efficiency, you've leveraged it. If it doesn't, tweak or discard. Over time, this process compounds. Your knowledge builds systems, your skills generate income, and your actions create lasting wealth. Remember, learning without application is vanity. True wealth comes when knowledge becomes leverage. Most people live paycheck to paycheck, thinking their job is the ultimate engine of security. Yet, I've learned that relying solely on a single source of income is like building a house on sand. It may stand for a while, but one storm can wash it away. True freedom comes when you design your personal economy, a system of income that thrives even when you're not actively trading hours for dollars. Your job is important, yes, but it should serve as the foundation, not the entire structure. The rich understand this principle deeply. They don't wait for the economy to bless them. They create their own. Early in my journey, I worked long hours at a job that barely covered my bills. I knew that my future couldn't depend solely on that paycheck. I began to explore ways to monetize my skills outside of the job. A small course here, some consulting there, a newsletter, or even a side product. Each effort became a tiny engine in my personal economy. Initially, it was modest, but every month I reinvested what I earned instead of spending it. Slowly, the income streams multiplied, and my financial life became less vulnerable to external forces. The strategy is straightforward. Identify something you know or can create that provides value to others and build a system around it. This could be digital products, subscription services, affiliate programs, or consulting opportunities. The key is that these streams earn while you're asleep, traveling, or even focusing on other pursuits. You're not just working harder, you're working smarter, designing assets that compound over time. Practical steps make it actionable. Pick one knowledge area or skill this month and determine how it can generate revenue on its own. Build a small, simple system to capture that value consistently. Reinvest every dollar earned into expanding or improving the system rather than spending it on fleeting pleasures. Track growth monthly. As you reinforce your personal economy, you build resilience, independence, and ultimately, freedom. Remember, a job supports your life, but your personal economy creates it. Design it wisely. Most people treat money like it's meant to be spent the moment it arrives. A fleeting comfort that disappears almost as soon as it appears. I learned early on that money isn't meant to be a pleasure, it's meant to be a worker. Every dollar you earn can either sit idle, slowly losing value to inflation, or it can be sent out to work for you, multiplying itself quietly while you focus on other things. Wealth isn't about how much you make, it's about how effectively you put each dollar to work. The first step is to assign every dollar a purpose. I remember when I first tracked my income carefully. I divided it into 3 categories: survival, saving, and growth. Survival covered essentials like rent, food, and bills. Saving created a safety net, a cushion that prevented mistakes from becoming disasters. Growth was the most important. It was the allocation that taught my money to work for me. Even small amounts invested in assets like stocks, a small side business, or learning tools began compounding over time. Strategy matters because it's not just putting money somewhere, it's giving it a job. Each dollar invested in a system, a business, or an asset has the potential to return more than it started with. Early on, I treated every extra dollar as an employee. Some went to learning new skills, some to purchasing tools that increased productivity, and some to small investments. Each employee had a defined role and tracked results, so I knew whether my money was productive or idling. Practical steps make this actionable. Every month, review your income and allocate purposefully. What covers your life, what grows your future, and what builds safety. Reinvest returns into new assets or systems. Ask yourself, are my dollars idle or are they creating more dollars? If they aren't multiplying, reassign them. Over time, this discipline transforms your financial landscape from mere survival into a thriving workforce of money, silently building freedom. Your money can work for you, but only if you treat it like a team. Start today and make every dollar earn its keep. Wealth never arrives simply because you need it. I learned early in life that the marketplace doesn't reward need, it rewards value. People will pay handsomely, not for what you want, but for what you can give them. Solutions, results, transformation. I remember my first attempts at making money. I was eager to earn, but I quickly realized that asking for payment without providing meaningful value left me empty-handed. It was only when I focused on solving real problems for others that opportunities began to multiply. The principle is simple. Create value first, and income follows naturally. The philosophy behind this is that money flows to those who are indispensable. If you offer something that genuinely improves someone's life, whether it's a product, a service, or even a small skill, people will reward you. The more lives you touch, the greater your impact, and the more income naturally accumulates. I recall helping a small business organize its operations early in my career. The money I earned was modest, but the skills I applied and the results I delivered built a reputation that opened doors to far larger opportunities. The strategy is to focus relentlessly on increasing the value you bring before worrying about what you will earn. Look at the marketplace around you. What are people struggling with? What problem can you solve efficiently and creatively? Your first concern isn't the paycheck. It's the transformation you deliver. The higher the quality of results you provide, the higher the compensation you can command. Practical steps are straightforward. Begin by identifying a problem you can solve for others. Create a solution, a product, a service, or even guidance that addresses it effectively. Focus on improving that solution continuously. Ask yourself each day, am I making a meaningful difference in the lives of those I serve? Only when you consistently deliver real results will the income flow without chasing it. When you commit to creating value first, wealth becomes a natural byproduct of service, not an elusive goal. Focus on helping others, and the market will reward you beyond imagination. True freedom comes when your money works for you, even when you sleep. I've seen so many people labor tirelessly, trading every hour for a paycheck, yet wondering why they never seem to get ahead. The secret the wealthy understand is that real wealth isn't measured by how hard you work, it's measured by how your assets work, quietly and consistently, whether you're present or not. Early in my life, I relied solely on my job. I worked long hours, but my financial growth was slow and unpredictable. It wasn't until I discovered ways to let money create more money that my freedom truly began. The philosophy here is simple. If your income depends solely on your effort, you are enslaved to time. To escape that cycle, you need to build streams that produce revenue automatically. This might be rental income, dividends from stocks, royalties from intellectual property, or automated businesses that operate without daily intervention. Each of these systems allows you to earn while focusing on other priorities, learning, family, or even rest. The point isn't laziness, it's strategic leverage. The strategy is to start small, observe, and scale. Identify one form of passive income that suits your situation and study it deeply. Learn the mechanics, the risks, and the returns before committing significant resources. By understanding the system, you reduce mistakes and increase efficiency. Passive income is not free. It requires effort up front, but once established, it frees you in ways active labor never can. Practically, begin with micro investments or small experiments, perhaps a fractional ownership in real estate, a dividend-paying stock, or a small digital product. Track your returns, adjust strategies, and then reinvest those gains to duplicate the process. Each cycle compounds not only your financial position, but your confidence and skill in managing automated wealth. When you focus on building money that works while you rest, you shift from mere survival to true freedom. This is how the wealthy sleep peacefully at night. They've built systems that earn continuously, letting them live life on their terms. True wealth isn't measured by what you accumulate alone, it's measured by what you leave behind in others. I've watched people build fortunes only to see them squandered within a generation. The difference between fleeting wealth and lasting prosperity is not the number in the bank, but the principles you instill. Legacy is about planting seeds of knowledge, discipline, and financial intelligence that grow long after you're gone. Money without understanding is like a river without banks. It flows away and disappears. But when you pass on wisdom, you give others the ability to create, protect, and multiply wealth for themselves. The philosophy here is that the richest person isn't necessarily the one with the largest account balance, but the one who equips others to think, act, and grow like the wealthy. It's about influence, education, and example. I remember seeing families who were comfortable but financially unaware. They had money, but no system, no habits, no understanding. Within a few years, it was gone. On the other hand, when I invested time in teaching financial habits, tracking money, investing intelligently, creating cash flow, the results lasted far longer than the dollars themselves. Wisdom compounds just like money. The strategy is simple. Don't just accumulate for yourself. Teach. Make your financial journey a story that others can follow. Document your habits. Share your principles and engage those around you. Include your family in decisions. Show them the value of planning, discipline, and delayed gratification. Create a culture where money serves purpose and growth, not mere comfort. Practically, write down your wealth principles in a simple playbook. Review it with your children, mentees, or colleagues. Show them how you invest, how you track your income, and how you evaluate opportunities. Make it interactive, teach, answer questions, and encourage them to take action. By doing this, each lesson you impart multiplies, creating a ripple effect that ensures both your financial wisdom and wealth endure beyond a single lifetime. True freedom is not just building money, it's building people who can multiply it wisely. That is the legacy worth leaving. Ladies and gentlemen, as we draw this conversation to a close, I want you to remember one undeniable truth. Wealth is not a moment, it's a movement. It is the cumulative result of your daily decisions, your habits, your mindset, and your commitment to growth. Too often, people think that wealth comes from a lucky break, an inheritance, or a sudden windfall. But real, lasting wealth is crafted deliberately. It is earned by the patient, the disciplined, and those who think beyond themselves. It begins in the mind, is nurtured by consistent action, and grows through the systems you build and the value you create for others. If you truly want to go from surviving to thriving, from $0 to financial freedom, you must understand that assets are important, but cash flow is the engine. You must focus on building not just income, but predictable, self-sustaining streams that work whether you are awake or asleep. Every dollar you earn should have a job, either to save, invest, or grow. Every hour you spend should either increase your skill, expand your influence, or enhance your earning power. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be, and without it, your dreams remain distant visions. But here is the deeper truth. Wealth is not only about what you accumulate, but also about what you leave behind. Teach others, mentor those who are willing, share the principles that guide you. When you make wealth a philosophy, not just a paycheck, you multiply its power. You create a legacy that endures beyond your own efforts. Wealth grows faster when it is shared intelligently, and influence compounds just like money. Now, I challenge you, don't leave this room, this moment, or this thought without action. Take one step today, track your finances, start a habit of saving, begin learning a new skill, or create a small cash flow system. Take another step tomorrow and the next day, and let each small choice compound into monumental results. Your future is built in the decisions you make today. Decide right now that you will no longer be a spectator in your life. Begin to think like the wealthy, act like the wealthy, and build systems that free you. Commit to the journey of growth, discipline, and purpose. Your freedom, your wealth, and your legacy start with the choices you make at this very moment. Start now.